Do we go live? Why not? All right. So, first off, welcome everybody. Welcome to today. Obviously, it's a new day, depending on where you're at in the world. But I've been kind of gone for a while, so a few updates, see how things are going, and just a few thoughts that I had. First off, I ended up having to, a few weeks back, I ended up going in for a surgery. I got, I don't know if you notice, you probably won't, but I've got I was in a knife fight. Not really. Never been in a knife fight, but that would have made a much better story. Basically, they had to take a, biopsy by my lungs, some of my lymph nodes. They thought that there was, I had some problems where my lymph nodes were swollen, and they wanted to make sure it wasn't lymphoma. Good news, it's not. It's something they call sarcoidosis. So, I don't think it's a huge ordeal, but they did need to do a biopsy just to verify that it wasn't something more serious. So, that put me out for a little bit. It was a little fun, but it wasn't terrible. First time I've ever been put under an anesthesia, and so that was a bit of a hoot. It was new for me, and so I don't know. All my schedule and things really got thrown off helter skelter, but that's all right. And then after that, we had a family trip where I went down to see an old buddy of mine. He got married, and he lives down in Vegas, and so we went down to Vegas and spent the weekend there, and that was interesting. My buddy's doing well. He's a stud, and that was fun to see him and catch up with him. I hadn't talked to him in 10 years or so. But the interesting part was we did took the kids down the strip and stuff like that. Last time I'd been to Vegas, it was when my wife was pregnant with our oldest, so this was 9 years ago. And we walked down the strip and stuff, and it was fun to see the fountains and to see all the architecture and stuff. And yeah, you had people handing out stuff, but as long as you stayed away from like the little handouts and stuff that had all the naked people on them, it wasn't terrible. I mean, there was people that were dressed like pretty skanky and stuff, but not, I don't know, something that you would see at like a high school, or I don't know. It didn't seem too terrible. We don't gamble, we don't drink and stuff, so we weren't going to clubs and that kind of stuff. It was just kind of fun to see the life. Well, taking your kids there, I'm gonna definitely say it was not the same adventure. First off, I wrote this down. When you're walking down the strip, and yeah, there's still the fountains, the volcano show, things that are fun. But this time, and we definitely didn't see this last time, we saw people with like G-strings, and I wrote cellulite G-strings with pasties, talking to my kids. No bueno. Yeah, we were walking by, and there was these like carnival people that had like pasties on, and when they saw my daughters, some of them were like, "Oh, hi girls, you look so cute," and stuff. And I was like, "Stay away from my kids." You know, these people were obviously strangers, and it was like my daughters. You can imagine an 8-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 5-year-old, all three girls that are saying like, "Why aren't they wearing any clothes? Like, why? But like, you can see their boobies. You can see," and it's like, well, I didn't expect it to be that openly sleazy on the strip, which it was unfortunate for that, but it was a great opportunity for us to have a learning experience with our kids, talk more about sex. My one daughter was like, she was asking about a sign she saw, and it was for an advertisement that was like, I don't remember, talking sex with a straight girl and a gay guy or something like that, and she was so we definitely had to explain a little more, and she's at the stage we've talked to her and stuff about sex, but we haven't gotten into a ton of nitty gritty because she's not yet at the stage where she's getting there, the stage where she needs to know all the details. We've given we're pretty open with them with our kids. Sometimes when they're too young to have that conversation, we just tell them this is a little more adult than we want to get with you right now, but we'll explain more as you get older and as you understand more. And I think that one of the most important things that parents can teach their kids is about sex, is about just what life is, you know. It's an important part of life, and it's interesting how a lot of times, especially in religious families or in religious cultures, it gets very hidden or very like, oh, it's a secret, or oh, it's a, you don't talk about it. It's a very taboo subject, but that's a disservice to your kids. That's a disservice to them because they do need to know. You can't just view sex as something that's bad or dirty or secret or whatever. It's something that's beautiful, that's special, that's meant to be cherished, and it's meant to be had in the right circumstances between a husband and wife. And it can be people can have sex outside of marriage, but it's important to talk to your kids and explain why that's not a good idea, why that it's not a good idea to share the most intimate parts of yourself with anyone. And that's something that's important for them to know. Not only is it not bad, but it's also something that's sacred and special, and something that they should look forward to. And that's an exciting thing. But it definitely gave us a few opportunities to get a little more detailed, especially with my older daughter. She waited until she was just with us for a few times. She asked a few different, more specific questions about it, and we were open with her and we talked to her. And so it was good to, I don't know. I don't know if it was worth the trip in that sense, but it was good to open up new avenues of conversation and open up new perspectives with them. One of the things that was good to talk about was modesty. It was good to talk with my daughter about modesty and how it includes not just the clothes that you wear, that you're modest in your dress as far as covering your body, but also it's the attitude with which you carry yourself. It's an attitude that you have about yourself, and not necessarily just are you covering this or are you doing that, but it's also more about your demeanor, your body movement, your as I said, attitude, physical and the way you carry yourself. And then one other thing, it was interesting, and my wife pointed it out to me. There was my one daughter, the one that the lady with the pasties and the G-string and the cellulite had talked to her, and she was like, "Oh, hey, cutie, hey," and my daughter afterwards like, "Well, what was I supposed to say?" And I was like, you should tell her to put some clothes on. And that was just my first off the cuff answer, you know. But my wife's like, you don't know what those women have been through. Like, you do need to show people respect and stuff like that. Let them be themselves. You don't need to agree with the way they carry themselves or the way they present themselves, but you don't want to add to any pain that they may have, because you don't know why they're in the situation they're in. You don't know why they're doing that. And so we did have a little bit of a talk there, and I corrected myself in the sense of like, hey, we do want to show kindness to people, but we also want to be, we don't want to think that that's a good behavior. And so that was a good conversation that we had as well. Next thing I wanted to talk about a little bit was humor. I had a good conversation, or we had a good evening with some friends recently, and I noticed something, that our humors were just a little bit different. Our senses of humor were a little bit different, and we were just watching random stuff on YouTube and stuff like that. And one of the things that they'd put on a few different times was like stuff from SNL and stuff. And then there's some good stuff. There's some funny stuff from SNL, and there's some stupid stuff from SNL. But they put on like Jimmy Kimmel. They were was it or Fallon? Jimmy Fallon. I don't remember which. I get them mixed up. But the whole shtick thing was he was looking at, or he not looking at, he was playing songs from albums that were like really bad, and they were done poorly and stuff, and then he would just laugh at them, and it was like, I don't know, that type of humor, it doesn't resonate with me. I don't like it. When somebody puts something out, or somebody does something and they try to do something, and you sit and you make fun of them, that leaves it feels like cheap humor to me. Yeah, it can be funny and stuff, and my wife pointed out to me how I love to see people that fall down, and I enjoy like watching the YouTube videos of people slipping on ice or whatever, and it's just funny. And I think that that's a little bit different than when somebody puts out a song or a music or something that comes from like their heart or something, unless they're putting it out satirically or putting it out to be made fun of. Making fun of somebody's efforts and stuff like that, it's just like, yeah, there's funny stuff there, but it feels cheap. It feels like a cheap laugh, and I don't like that. And then I put on something that I had watched. I hadn't seen it in several years, but it was this. So it's this guy that's handicapped, and he does workout videos, right? And he just makes a joke out of it, and he's like, oh, you got to get out of your wheelchair and into your walker, and then he's like, oh, if you don't have a walker, then you're already ahead of the game. And but so this workout video had been songified by Schmoyohos, or whatever their name is. I forget the name of them. A buddy of mine and me, we used to listen to this, and it was pretty funny. And I forgot that the guy's like, where the hell have we been, at the very beginning, so he swears. And it was like our families were there and stuff, and I got immediately awkward because I couldn't remember how, if it was super vulgar or whatever, and so I got awkward, and then I tried to, and I skipped through a little bit of it, and I just like, and then I just let it go, and it was super awkward, and it wasn't that funny in that context, because we had just been watching videos where you sit and make fun of people, and then this guy who his handicap is making jokes and stuff, and it felt like, oh, if we laugh, we're making fun of this person too. And the way that the video was set up, he was making a joke, and it was kind of a, you laugh along with us, like he made it intentionally to be funny. And he was super excited that he had gotten songified and stuff like that. And so so the video was a little different than it was, because I was awkward about it. It wasn't that funny and stuff, and it was like, it's interesting how if you get in the habit of laughing at people, it makes it hard to laugh with people. Is kind of the point I guess I'm trying to make. And it's easy to laugh and to be happy and stuff, but when you laugh at the expense of someone, regardless of whether it's intended or not, like me laughing at people who are falling down, I think of that, and I think of like, if I fell down, like I would laugh too, and I would laugh with the people, but not everybody's like that, And so when you laugh at the expense of someone, you kind of, it makes it harder to laugh with someone who's intentionally being in a vulnerable place where they can be made fun of. And so I think that I don't know, I think that comedy is one of those things that it's very easy to get laughs, but it's not as, I don't know, it's not as good to get laughs that are, the higher quality of the laugh is like, that's where it's at, that's when you can get people to laugh, but yet not at the expense of each other. That's one of the things that I think I really like about Owen. a lot of his comedy, you know, when you look back about his original stuff, a lot of it was focused on man versus woman and how we interact, but yet it's not at the expense of man or woman. It's, oh, look at this situation from both sides and see how ridiculous we are together, and it's funny, and good comedians, they do this. They make something funny without being at the expense of others, including themselves. Unfortunately, you have some really funny people who make the humor at their own expense, and that's where you get into like things that are like, I don't know. I'm not I wouldn't say myself completely scholared on comedy, but I think of like Louis C.K., where a lot of it's like this pathetic humor, where it's like, oh, I hate my kids and I hate my life and I don't know. It's just like kids are jerks, and he talks about his family and stuff, but he talks about things at the expense of them, and he gets you to laugh like, oh, that's how my kids are too, and you think of those bad moments where it's like you're frustrated and stuff, and he kind of finds that niche there, but it's at the expense of the kids. It's at the expense of the family. It's at the expense of that relationship, and it's not. It's a cheap laugh. That's what it is. And so I was just thinking about that lately, and how our humor really kind of is, it affects how we view others and stuff like that. The last thing that I was going to, well, not the last, well, maybe the last, I don't know, we'll see how it goes, but one of the things I was talking about recently, and I've talked to my oldest daughter about this. I guess I should pull up I prepared some pictures. I did a little bit of preparation today. It's better than I always do. I don't always do that good. But, see, here's Vegas. Here's the family. Got Ricky and my daughters and me and my wife. And if you, well, you won't be able to see that shirt, and I don't want to look at how to zoom in. But that shirt there says, "Snackcident. When you eat all the bacon by mistake." It's an important thing. And just to be clear, that's funny because, not just because, but it's also funny that, and I love explaining this. My wife hates it when I explain it. I don't know if she hates it, but she always teases me. But it's funny because it uses the word snackcident, and that rhymes with accident, but then it doesn't use the word accident. It says by mistake. And so it's like, it's leading you on, but then it drops off, and it's just funny. And if you don't get that, then you don't understand, I don't know, something mean. You're stupid. Let's look at the next picture. Let's see. So, dagnabbit. I don't know how to rotate these, but there's me and the kids. There is me and my son on an escalator, and we're just, some of the family's behind us, and it's kind of fun. Let's see if there's any other pictures that I had set aside for us to look at from Vegas. Nope, not from Vegas. Next. Well, let's look at this one, because I like this one. I noticed this, my wife sent this one. And it says, "Life is a series of tiny little miracles. Notice them." And then it just has the picture of a ladybug. And it's really true how our lives are full of miracles if we just have the eyes to open and see them. Christ said himself, he's like, "Those who have eyes to see, let them see." And he was referring to like his teachings and stuff like that, but I think that also applies to the miracles that we have, the tender mercies that we see in our day-to-day life that we only notice if we try to notice. It's important. And then here's the, let's see, did I hit okay? Oh, I hate this. Make a big picture small. It's because I resized the other one. Okay. This is the desk that I'm making. That's just some laminated wood. I got it stained, and then I'll need to cut it up, and I've got a little bit more to do. It's not going to be that long. I've got a piece of granite that I'm going to put on the top of it already that I'm using for a coffee table I made several years ago, and I will put that as the top part of the desk, and I might actually put 2 sections to the desk, but that's where it's at. It's kind of fun. All right, these are what they call mici. If you go to Romania and you're in the summertime and you go to any kind of like a festival or a concert or anything outdoors, you're going to be smelling mici. You'll be eating mici because they're delicious and they're amazing. Did I switch it? Yeah, yes. It didn't hit OK, but it still switched. Mitite, mici, M-I-C-I. If you want to look up a recipe, they are fantastic. Just on the grill. It's important to have little fun family traditions. Kind of keeps you united, keeps things going good. There is a view outside of my window of a sunset. Every night we see that. It's gorgeous. It's neat stuff. And then this is the last one. Yes. No, it's not. There's one more after this. But this one's going to be tiny. And then I was going to make it the last one because it's going to make the next picture huge, but it's okay. There's my boy. So we were doing some cleanup, and boys need tasks. They really need things to do. I would tell him, "Hey, Ricky, go get that stick. Go put it over there. Hey, Ricky, go do that. Hey, Ricky, go do that." And he was such a good helper. We were out working in the garden. Well, we don't have a garden. We were killing many weeds that we have, and it was just a blast. And he was working there beside us when he wasn't off exploring, which was fine too. Let me make it really small again. Alright, and then the last picture is slow open. There we go. It's upside down. Why is it upside down? I looked at these. Let's see, defaults. Nope. Okay. That makes me super frustrated. I probably should spend a bit of time offline to figure out how a good way to present pictures is. But oh well, I'll just turn that off. I wanted to show my daughter. Notice my daughter's teeth specifically. All right. Let's get rid of that picture. Mostly because it's upside down. But the thing that I wanted to talk about was confidence versus self-consciousness, like being self-conscious. And so my daughter there in the picture, Ashley, she is very confident. She's always been very confident in herself, and she kind of radiates this confidence and this. She's very sure of herself, and she's very. She goes from, oh, I'm so awesome, and oh, don't I look great, and oh, don't I this, and it's a confidence that she kind of has in herself, but it's not. I wouldn't say that it's she's necessarily overconfident. She just kind of, that's how she portrays herself a lot of times. And then the other day we were going on this walk, and she was just walking with me, and my other kids and my wife and dog were up ahead, and I think I was pushing the stroller, or maybe I had Roxy the dog, but we were behind, and just 10, 15 feet behind, but it was just kind of us two, and she looks at me and she's like, "Dad, my teeth look funny." And she's at that stage where, I'll pull up that picture again if you didn't notice. It's going to be upside down. I apologize. Oh well. But so her teeth, she's got her adult teeth in her front two teeth. And they're bigger than the rest of her mouth, but they're not terribly, it's not like awkwardly big. I mean, it's just she's at that stage where she's just kind of growing, you know? And I was like, "Do you think my teeth look funny?" And I was like, "No." And then I was like, "Well, yeah, no." And I don't know. I don't remember what I told her, but I remember saying like, you're growing. You're like your mouth's developing, and so you've got your adult teeth, but yet you're still young, and so you're growing into your teeth. I don't think that's funny. I think that everybody your age goes through that, and it's fine. But it's not like weird. And she just got really self-confident, and she's like, everyone stares at me, and I hate my smile, and everyone looks at them, and she just was going off. And this is kind of the first time I've heard her get like this, being this self-conscious, this kind of like a downer on herself. And it was interesting because I wanted to, I don't know, as her dad, I wanted to like comfort her and stuff, but I also wanted to not give her false pretense, not give her idea that everybody's going to be nice or that everybody's going to be kind to, and because that's not going to happen. And so I tried to be delicate, and I tried to help her realize that it doesn't matter what other people think, you know. Your teeth are what they are. Teeth aren't necessarily what make you beautiful. You need to let yourself be beautiful. You need to just let your kindness and your personality and your zest for life show. And so I kind of just was talking to her, and it was interesting because it's a hard lesson that I remember distinctly. I had one of my companions when I was on my mission. He taught me a really neat thing, where we were talking about how we get frustrated with, or like worried about what others think of us, you know. And he pointed it out to me how really there's only two people whose opinion we should care about, and that's God's opinion first, and then our own opinion. And then as time goes on, when you get married, you should definitely care about your wife's opinion. You should care about the people whose opinion you should care about. You should deliberately decide to care about their opinions, and they should be people you love and trust, and very people who you have an intimate relationship. It's important to be like in our social settings and stuff. It's important to be to not be like dirty and I don't know, just you don't want to be disgusting people. I mean, you don't want to be social, you don't want to be an outcast, but when it's all said and done, don't be very careful with who you give that power to, the power of who you're embarrassed, like of who you care, whose opinion it is, and ultimately those opinions should end with God, and yourself, and those two opinions are the ones that should trump most other opinions. And I think that was a really I don't know the best way to teach that to my child, to my children, but that's what I was trying to get across, is like, you know, when we care so much about what others think or what others say, or when we let other people hurt our feelings, we're really giving them a power over us, and that's something that you don't want to do. Like, usually you don't want to give people that authority over you, because that's giving away part of your own agency. That's giving away part of your own, that own core that makes you, you. And so it's important to realize, like, hey, that's not necessarily the what you want to do or what you want to be. The last thing that I was going to mention is the question of the day. I guess before I do that, let me play one of those shameless self plugs. What? What is he even doing? He's plugging himself. It's a thing of beauty. I'm so dumb. But the question that I had today is this: how do you teach your kids not to lie? How do you teach a child not to lie? That's one of those things that I'm trying to figure out. I don't know. I've got different ideas and I've tried different things, but it's also one of those things that I don't know how to do because I haven't done it successfully. Some of my kids, they get too, they try to please too much, and instead of being upfront and telling you how it is, they lie, and they'll be like, oh, so and so, oh this, oh that, and they make excuses and stuff. And I think a lot of kids go through that. I think most kids probably do. So I don't think that my kids, there's anything necessarily wrong with them. I just I'm open to ideas. I'm still figuring that one out. There was a guy that, when I was in Vegas, there was a guy that he was standing behind me in a line at a 7-Eleven or something, and he was like, "Oh, there was the person in front, two people in front of me, where I think these Irish or English people that were like, they had $100 bill and they're trying to pay with $100 bill, and the cashier lady, this black lady, she's like, can you go put that in the machine and then just collect it out and it'll break it for you so you don't have to pay with such large bill." I assume that it's probably, the area we were in was a bit sketchy, and so I would assume that it's much safer to have like big bills like that in the slot machines instead of in the till. And the Irish people, like they were like, "No, I'm not here to gamble. I just wanted to pay." Like, and they were like refused, and they weren't polite about it, but they weren't like aggressive or anything. They just said no and were forceful. The guy, this guy behind me, he was a real tall guy, and he was like, he was talking to him, and he talked about what was the sauce. He asked them if they brought him any, it's like HB sauce or something like that. I don't remember. And he equated it to the A1 sauce that we have here. And he's like, yeah, that's like their A1 sauce, but they've got several different kinds. They've got the brown kind and the green kind, or the red kind and the green kind. I don't remember. But he was asking him, and the lady like immediately started laughing. "Oh yeah, I left the green kind. I'll bring you some next time though." And she was all polite and stuff. And after they left, he was like, "Man, I've been all over the world." And he's like, and he was just talking to me, and I'm a cool guy. And he was like, "I know it looked like they were being rude, but they weren't. That's not them being rude. That's just how they are." And he was talking about how, especially and I've noticed this in like, in a few different European cultures, but he was talking about England and Ireland, where they're very blunt and they're very upfront, and they tell it like what they see. They don't beat around the bush. And it was funny. Most of us there were like, "Yeah, it's much nicer when you know where you stand with people. It's nice to be able to be direct and to be and it really was kind of a funny thing where it was like, yeah, you want to be, and I guess if you want to get go back to like Christ and stuff, yes means yes and no means no. You want to be direct. You don't want to beat around the bush. One of the things that we do, unfortunately, one of the things that we do here in the States is we're very polite in a way that undercuts truth, like in a way that undercuts like the direct, yes, this is what I think, or this is what I feel, or this is how my opinion. Instead, we're like, oh, that's an idea, but have you thought of this? And have you done this? And oh, that's a, and we beat around the bush so much that we can't just say, that's stupid. No, you're being dumb. Because we're so worried about offending people. And it doesn't need to be that way, and it shouldn't be that way. And the guy that black guy that was behind me, he was like, yeah, I played basketball all around the world, and I told him that my wife was from Romania and stuff, and he's like, oh, I played with two dudes from Romania, like they were way cool, and it was just like he was telling me some of the places he had been, and it was pretty cool. That pretty much wraps it up for tonight, or this morning, or whenever you see this. But I think I'll finish with another shameless self-plug.